This is TWiT.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah Lane, and let's get right into today's tech feed. Another day, another massive security breach. Yeah, this is becoming commonplace. In a regulatory filing, JP Morgan Chase, which is the biggest bank in the U.S., says that a data breach affected 76 million households and 7 million small businesses, and that customer names, addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses were all taken. A person briefed on the matter tells Bloomberg that internal data that identifies customers by category, for example, who might be a client of the private bank, was also obtained by hackers. The breach reportedly affected anybody who visited the company's website, like chase.com, or even used its mobile app. The company also says that the data breach was previously disclosed and that, quote, there is no evidence that account information for such affected customers, account numbers, passwords, user IDs, dates of birth, or social security numbers was compromised during this attack. Although gigabytes of data were taken by hackers in the attack, and the attack lasted over a period of months, that's according to people familiar with the incident, again telling Bloomberg that was back in August, and investigators in the case have tracked stolen files to a Russian data center. After Google's Sundar Pichai reportedly expressed interest in acquiring Cyanogen as part of Google's Android group, Cyanogen is reportedly seeking additional funding at a $1 billion valuation. Sort of like, hey, Google, we're worth more than that. This is according to a report today published by The Information. Cyanogen is the world's most popular Android custom ROM and has partnerships with companies like Oppo and OnePlus. And the information claims that the company also has a deal with Indian Android phone manufacturer Micromax, which is a huge brand in India, to release a CM-powered handset as soon as the end of the year. So it could be actually directly competing with Google with Android One. And a dozen celebrities whose iCloud accounts were hacked and whose nude photos were stolen in late August have hired attorney Marty Singer to represent them against... You thought I was going to say Apple. No, it's Google, in a letter that threatened a $100 million lawsuit. Singer's letter calls out Google's despicable, reprehensible conduct and not only failing to act expeditiously and responsibly to remove the images, but in knowingly accommodating, facilitating, and perpetuating the unlawful conduct. He really sounds like a lawyer, doesn't he? Singer also claims that Google hasn't been expeditiously removing owned work from its platforms. That's in accordance with safe harbor provisions of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, while other companies like Twitter have accommodated takedown demands. Remember Facebook's whole emotional manipulation research project that upset a lot of its users who claimed, hey, the company probably shouldn't be playing head games with us in our news feeds? Well, the company has set up new formal review process for pre-approving further research. Consent from users on experiments is actually already in Facebook's terms of service statement. So basically, by default, you are automatically agreeing to some form of experimentation just by being a Facebook member. But the company's new framework for internal and external research now has clearer guidelines. For example, if the research focuses on specific populations or demographics or is related to content the company calls considered deeply personal, such as emotions, the study will have to go through an enhanced review process before being pre-approved. A panel of senior researchers in different subject matters like privacy, legal, research, policy, and engineering will all determine if a study meets those guidelines. New engineers at Facebook will be trained during a 6-week introductory boot camp on how research should be conducted, and employees that already work at Facebook will also get education on proper research methods during annual security and privacy training sessions. All to toy with our emotions. Wow. Back when Apple introduced iOS 7, it also introduced a security feature called Activation Lock that prevents anybody from erasing or activating an iOS device before first entering an Apple ID and password. The feature has to be disabled before a device is passed on or sold to another person, and if you fail to do so, the device is unusable for the new owner. The company recently released a new tool that lets anybody check the activation lock status of iOS devices to make the process of checking for activation lock easier. This also prevents people from buying a device that might be locked because it was lost or stolen, or maybe because the previous owner just forgot to remove the device from their own account. So if you go to iCloud.com/activationlock, you or anybody else can look up an iOS device if you've got the number. If the device is locked, a message will clarify that the current user's Apple ID and password are intact, and then you'll be required to enter that before anybody can activate the phone. A little bit more helpful for theft purposes. The Electronic Frontier Foundation, or EFF, is reporting today that a software program called Computer Cop that's designed to protect children online is actually spyware, which contains, among other things, a keylogger that could obviously place anybody's personal information at risk by transmitting whatever a user is typing over the internet to a third-party server without encryption. The EFF says that it conducted a security review of Computer Cop plus public records of its involvement, see who was using it, and identified approximately 245 agencies in more than 35 states. That includes the U.S. Marshals that have used public funds to purchase and distribute Computer Cop, and that one sheriff's department even bought a copy for every family in its county. Well, that is unfortunate.